Good evening and welcome back to what is normally Whiteboard Wednesday. It's going to be a little bit different tonight. Normally I'm comparing verses or passages or Bible scriptures or Bible versions on Wednesday nights. But I decided to do statistics in a little way with Whiteboard. Those of you that followed me in the COVID era did a lot of numbers then, but we're going to talk about Nashville. I'm going to do a larger podcast on Saturday, a full podcast, and we'll talk about that along with other things. We'll talk about it from a different angle. But I think people are missing the point of what the problem is. Let's just go over a few numbers tonight. I'm trying to say the right words because, there are not, I don't think there are a lot of right words to describe what's going on down there and how the politics are being used and how this and left and right. Other than abortion and killing babies, that's the statistic I didn't put up here. And when I say Nashville here, these numbers aren't for Nashville, this is for the United States of America. From 2014 to 2022, under the age of 11, gun violence, 4,451 children, babies under 11 years old, were killed. And between the ages of 12 and 17 during that same time frame, 2014 and 2022, is 18,776 kids. So 23,227 children, kids, babies under the age of 17 have died at the end of a gun for different reasons. Some were just blatantly killed and murdered. Some were accidentals and drive-bys and gangbang shootings and disputes and so forth and so on. And we talk about mass shootings from 2014 to 2022, 4,040 mass shootings in that time frame. And by the way, all you Trump folks who want to go, well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't like that during Trump's era. It's been like this for a long time. People keep thinking that it's getting better. Babies and children and kids are getting killed and murdered in mass shootings and regular shootings. If you have your King James Bible, which you should always have on you, let's go to chapter 18, verse 6. Matthew chapter 18, verse 6 in King James Bible. If you do not have a King James Bible, please get one. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. Let's go to Mark. By the way, there's a lot of different chapters and verses we can go to, but I'm going to try to keep this short. So Wednesday night, I usually keep my Wednesdays a little shorter. I try anyways. Not always successful. Mark chapter 9, verse 42. You're probably going to get there before me. And whosoever shall offend one of these little ones that believe in me, it is better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he were cast into the sea. Let's go to Luke 17:2. I know it's repetitive, but it needs to be repetitive. It needs to be said over and over again, 100 times if I could. Luke 17. Luke chapter 17. Verse 2. It were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he cast into the sea, than that he should offend one of these little ones. Children have always been important to Jesus and God. Same guy. So what's the problem? Quite simple. No, it can't be simple. We need legislation. No, we don't. We don't need legislation. Well, we got to put some sort of bill. No, we don't need a bill. We need something. Yeah, I agree with that part. It's God. It's the Bible. Gun rights, alphabet rights, because I can't figure out LGBTQ, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I sometimes stumble over the letters. Too many letters. Left, right, ideology, paganism. There's a lack of God. Trans rights. I know that that's going on, but see, all of these rights. We're fighting for gun rights, alphabet rights, left and right, ideology, paganism, lack of God. I know I'm just repeating myself. Where are their rights? Where were those rights? Well, you argue about your guns, you argue about your alphabet, you argue both sides, who's right or wrong, your ideas, your paganist beliefs of killing babies anyways. Lack of God is what you have. You have a lack of God. You have a lack of knowledge of the Bible. That's why we're where we are today. Why doesn't that sink into you? Maybe not you particularly watching, but whoever comes across this, it doesn't seem to understand this. See, when you follow and you lead your life biblically, and people say, oh, I follow the Bible, I'm a good person. We're not talking about that. We're not going to get into that right now because you know you're way off course. Because you're not. People are not following God. People are not doing what we're supposed to do. And that's why, well, we want to be inclusive. I do not know a lot about this covenant place. I'm not going to start casting aspersions on them. Whether which form of Reformed, Methodist, and Presbyterian, not getting into that. Because that's what happens every time. I can easily go that direction and start going, well, that's because of Presbyterian. No, let's not do that right now. See, that's what we do. Well, you know, guns, that's the problem. Well, LGBT, that's the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. That's the problem. Meanwhile, overlooked. Suddenly the victims aren't victims anymore. The true victims. Because one thing solves all. But we are a selfish creature. We care about our wants, our desires. We want it our way. The old joke about Burger King. Our way. We're where we are because of the lack of God. I go to church every Sunday. Knock it off. That means absolutely nothing. If you're not here, it doesn't matter. That's where we are. And I'm going to be the bad guy here. It's not going to get better. We seem to think, oh, we're going to vote Trump in. That's going to make it better. Come on. Seriously? Look throughout time. Look throughout history. Violence has always been around. Murder has been around. There have been people killing each other before gun rights were an issue. Babies were being sacrificed to Moloch back in the old days. And now they are again, but in different forms. So instead of plain old gun rights, the LGBT, FUC, cars, and AF, what is it? PDQ. I don't even know. Actually, PDQ I think is a thing. What in the world? Children are being murdered every day. Children are being killed every day. And we argue about gun rights and LG rights. And the one thing we never argue about. That never seems to be on there. Watch the news. Both sides, by the way. Oh, they'll do a little dance with the end. Like, oh, we need God in this world. We need God in this world. Please, you don't do God. You say God when something bad goes wrong. But you don't say God when it's going right to prevent the things that will go wrong. See, the left hates God. We know that, right? The right loves God. But see, they have a jailhouse mentality about it. When something's wrong, then they come to God. God, we need God. You didn't say that yesterday. But then when something happens, then you want to say it. You can't turn to God when it's convenient. I could ramble on and on and on and on and over again, because I don't really have a lot of great intellectual, eloquent phrasing to use tonight. I really don't. I just, part of me, maybe because I'm a dad, I got kids. I'm going to make that the end of the video tonight, but stop getting caught up in this gun rights and the alphabet rights and all this nonsense. We keep doing that, and we keep losing sight of what matters. Argue this. Argue the Bible. Don't argue gun rights. Don't argue alphabet rights. Don't argue all that left and right and the ideologies. Argue this. That's what matters. Not that anyone from Nashville is going to watch this. I'm not expecting anybody to watch it. I don't know who will watch this, to be honest with you. But if you're watching, I do pray for your families. That's the other thing I want to talk about. 4,000, well, just do this number. 23,000, okay, under 17 gun deaths. 23,000, but that's not the number. How about parents? You got 23,000 moms now. You got 23,000 dads. So you got parents. You got parents of these children. And it goes off this way and off this way. And everyone starts to get affected. So this number here is a low number to who is painfully affected, just like suicide. That's a different conversation. I've had that conversation. When someone commits suicide, I think they forget they don't affect just themselves. Thousands. You could put that 23,000 up to 100,000 people who will be affected by this that may never heal from. They'll fight that. We are not protecting our children in this world today. We complain about the protection they need, but not the protection they really need. That's it for tonight's video. It wasn't a perfect one. I admit that. Everyone, I'll be honest with you, if you disagree that we have a problem and they were killing kids and you're killing kids, you're destined to hell in a lake of fire, because whoever harms children, I'll argue predestination almost to the lake of fire. You harm a child, you're going to hell. It's just that simple. I don't care about your mental health. I was going to talk about that, but your mental health. I'll talk about that Saturday. I'll talk about that in that podcast, mental health. Seriously? God bless and good night.